This State Department video that I have to show you is fucking amazing. This was just yesterday. I should give you the background real quick. NATO is threatening to take Ukraine into its loving arms and basically further surround Russia with a pro-war entity, which is NATO. The U.S. wants to stop Russia from creating this pipeline. They've already built the pipeline. I think they're just trying to stop them from basically using it, opening it. Pipeline between Germany and Russia called Nord Stream 2. The U.S. doesn't want them to do that because the U.S. wants Europe to be reliable on our oil and gas. I don't support any fucking pipelines, but I support U.S. war games even less than I support pipelines. And obviously, we have to decrease use of fossil fuels immediately or, we all die, but who's counting, right? So the U.S. is trumping up this war game. And as I talk about on Redacted tonight, this evening, the president of Ukraine, President Zelensky, which is a U.S.-backed government. I mean, they're not anti-U.S. Even he said that, no, there's no evidence that Russia's about to create war in Ukraine. It's the U.S. that is trying to create war within Ukraine or war with Russia. So the CIA, and this is there's open coverage of this. You can read it at Yahoo News. The CIA has been funding and arming to various degrees these forces in Ukraine. Many of them are Nazi forces, straight up Nazi forces. Like, they don't even make a secret of it, such as the Azov Battalion. So the CIA is helping fund and arm these Nazis in Ukraine that are right on the Russian border, some of them. And they're playing a dangerous game because they're basically putting these fucking maniacs with weaponry and everything else on the border of Russia. And obviously, Russia, as we all know, is nuclear armed, as is the U.S. And you get into a very dangerous game where, Nazis going to be Nazis. Nazi's going to Nazi, right? I think Taylor Swift did that song, Nazi's going to Nazi. And who knows what the fuck they'll do. So if they attack Russian forces, fucking all bets are off. Like, what will Russia's response would be to a U.S.-backed Nazi battalion attacking them from Ukraine? I don't fucking know. But it's goddamn dangerous, and that's why nuclear scientists say we're at 30 seconds to midnight, midnight being nuclear Armageddon. Again, death of everyone. Unless you've got a very deep bunker, which not many of us do. I just have a shed, and I don't think that's going to cut it. All right? It's made out of 2x4s. Just has an old lawnmower that doesn't work. I'm kidding, actually. I live in an apartment. I don't have a yard or a shed. Can't wait to one day have a shed that I never go into because there's a dead possum in the corner. Can't wait. We can dream, right? The American dream. To have that shed with the decomposing possum in the corner that you never go into with the broken rake. We can all dream. But, so yeah, dangerous game they're playing here. But because the U.S. is playing this game, they've now started saying, Russia's going to pretend that these Nazis have attacked them. Russia's going to create a false flag. Most of you know what a false flag is. It's acting like it's either creating a real attack and then acting like someone else did it, or creating false video of an attack and acting like someone else did it. And I'll get into U.S. actual verified false flags in a minute. So that's kind of the background. The U.S. is now saying Russia's going to create this false flag. But believe it or not, there's someone at the State Department press conference that occasionally pushes back. It's almost always this one guy named Matt Lee. And you'll hear him on this. You won't see him because the video is only of the State Department press secretary. But you'll hear him. Matt Lee often at times will do this, ask important questions and really press them on it. I wouldn't, you can't really run around and be like, he's, amazing and wonderful, because I don't think he's ever it's not like Matt Lee is going to be like, is capitalism really the best system? I don't think he's going to be like, should the American empire really own the world? So there's certain places he won't go, which is how I think he stays in the mainstream media. But that being said, does a lot of really good stuff. He's really almost always the only one that will push back on these people. So
okay, well, that's quite a mouthful there. So you said actions such as these suggest otherwise. Suggest meaning that they suggest they're not interested in talks and they're going to go ahead with some kind of a. What action are you talking about?
One, the actions I've just pointed to. The fact that Russia continues to engage in disinformation campaigns.
You made an allegation that they might do that. Have they actually done it?
What we know, Matt, is what I've just said, that they have engaged in this activity, in this planning activity. But let me because obviously this is not the first time we've made these reports public. You'll remember that just a few weeks ago.
I'm sorry, made what report public?
If you'll let me finish, I will tell you what report we made public. We told you a few weeks ago that we have information indicating Russia also has already prepositioned a group of operatives to conduct a false flag operation in eastern Ukraine. So that, Matt, to your question, is an action that Russia has already taken.
It's an action that you say that they have taken, but you have shown no evidence to confirm that.
I'll play the rest in a second, but this is they go on like this, and this is classic U.S. garbage, dumpster fire propaganda. This spokesperson for the State Department, who is longtime CIA, literally was at the CIA for years and years. That's that spokesperson. Where Mike Pompeo, when he was head of the CIA, said we are trained to lie. And that's what we do all the time. That's what Mike Pompeo said. So, but this guy has said Russia is positioning troops to create a false flag. How the fuck? So picture a false flag. It is a fake video of, let's say, an explosion or something. How would you know the positioning of troops to create a false flag? It's utter nonsense. Even if Russia were going to create a false flag, there's no positioning of troops. Oh, the troops always get in a triangle before they false flag. Oh, that's a classic false flag rhomboid is what that is. You can see, because when you're going to create a false flag, you always got to have the 5 or 6 corners there. False flags never happen with a square. It's always got to be rhomboid. The only rhombus involved in troop formations and the false flags. What the fuck is he talking about? But they don't have any evidence, which is why Matt Lee keeps questioning, like, what evidence are you talking about? And he just goes, he doesn't want to say this, but what he's saying is the evidence we have is that I'm saying it. That's the evidence we have. When you ask, what proof do we have that Russia's going to, in the future, create a false flag? The proof is I said it. Me, former CIA, now at the State Department. I said it. That's the proof. That's what our government expects us to believe. And he can't say that, so he just keeps tripping over his words. Anyway, let's keep going because it gets even better.
What is the evidence that they play? I mean, this is like crisis actors, really? This is like Alex Jones territory you're getting into now.
I love that moment. He calls him Alex Jones, which, of course, our government has done everything they can to shut down Alex Jones, who made up all this bullshit about Sandy Hook being fake and all that garbage. But they're doing the exact same shit, right? They are doing exactly what Alex Jones does. Oh, none of it's real. Yeah, Boston Marathon didn't happen. That guy without a leg, that's a fake non-legger. That's a fake stump there underneath that guy. And even though there's video of him running the marathon 1 minute earlier, that he actually fake. He was an actor who was willing to cut off his leg for the scene. It's method acting. They did blow his leg off, but he was willing to do. He signed up for that because he's a method actor, and he was like, "Listen, if you need me to be legless, then I'm going full legless. All right, he didn't hire no fucking amateur actor. All right, I'm taking my leg off for the work, for the art. Anyway, they're doing exactly what fucking Alex Jones does.
What evidence do you have to support the idea that there is some propaganda film in the making?
Now, this is derived from information known to the U.S. government, intelligence information that we have declassified. I think you know.
Okay, well, where is it? Where is this information?
It is intelligence information that we have declassified.
Well, what?
What information? What? Well, it's declassified. We showed it to you. Well, show it to me. Well, we did. Yes, exactly. What did you show me? We showed you that the thing with the thing. He can't say because they have no fucking evidence. They have no evidence Russia's about to create a false flag. Even the president of fucking Ukraine, which is supposedly the country that's supposed to be affected by a Russian incursion, invasion, whatever, even he said that it's not happening, that the U.S. needs to chill out on the rhetoric. That's Ukraine's U.S.-backed president has said that. There's no evidence, and he knows there's no evidence. So when asked for the evidence, he just goes, yes, that the thing with the thing.
Where is it? Where's the declassified information?
I just delivered it.
No, you made a series of allegations. And
Would you like us to print out the topper? Because you will see a transcript of this briefing that you can print out for yourself.
That's not evidence, Ned. That's you saying it. That's not evidence.
What would you like, Matt?
I would like to see something.
Oh, that might be one of the best parts. Is he goes, "What's the evidence?" And he goes, "It's the things I just told you." And he goes, "That's not evidence. That's you, the liar for the State Department." I mean, that's what the job is. Even if you want to, even if what you want to support the State Department and Biden or whatever, when you're a press secretary, your job is to lie for these organizations. That's what it is. So you're the top liar for the State Department. You're former CIA, where Mike Pompeo told us they have classes on how to lie. And so you telling us something is not evidence, not even close. It's almost anti-evidence. You say something, we know some shit is going down because it's the opposite of whatever you say. And they get to this point where he just keeps asking for evidence because the guy hasn't given any evidence. And finally, the State Department press secretary just goes, "What do you want?" We want some fucking proof of what you're talking about, which is pushing two nuclear-armed countries towards nuclear war that, even if it went well, would kill tens of millions. Even if we were like, man, did we dodge full-on, everyone dies nuclear war, still tens of millions died. Let's remember that, okay? I live in Washington, D.C., we'd be first to go. I mean, these people they're psychopaths. They're pushing us towards nuclear Armageddon and with zero evidence. And all this reporter is asking for is fine, show us some evidence. And he's like, listen, this is a mainstream journalist, so he's like more than willing to write the report about, oh my God, Russia's trying to create a false flag. He's aching to write that report. But just show him some evidence. Nothing. The evidence is just that I, the top liar for the State Department, told you something.
Proof that you can show that
Matt, you have been
that shows that the Russians are doing this. Ned, I've been doing this for a long time.
I know that was my point. You have been doing this for quite a while. You know that when we declassify intelligence information, we do so in a means we do so with an eye to protecting sources and methods.
Not going to fall. I remember a lot of things. So where is the?
I don't know if you could hear that because he was talking over him, but he said, I remember you telling us a lot of things. I remember you telling us that Kabul in Afghanistan was not going to fall to the Taliban, which of course it did in about 30 seconds. I remember you telling us about WMD. Remember that? WMD in Iraq? You told us that too, right? So you telling us shit means nothing. It means less than nothing. So that's his point. Great point. You tell us shit all the time. In fact, maybe now, and I will play the rest of the video, but maybe now would be a good time to go back for a second through many of the false flags that the U.S. government has told us about that we created or we intentionally fell for. WMD in Iraq is basically a false flag. I mean, it's lies to, yes, there was no killing. It was just Iraq has WMD when they knew they didn't. That if you look back at Colin Powell's famous speech to the UN where he says, oh, they have mobile weapons labs. Look at what he shows during that presentation. He shows a cartoon drawing of the mobile weapon labs. Why? Because there were no photos of the non-existent mobile weapon labs. They literally had to draw a cartoon just to make it seem like there was any. Here's a cartoon of the thing we said. That was WMD in Iraq, right? Million people dead. War on Terror, as I covered tonight and redacted tonight, War on Terror, the estimate is now has killed 6 million people since 2001, including Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. 6 million people dead, and at least part of that is due to that WMD lie. Another one. Remember Vietnam? Remember the Vietnam War? I mean, I don't remember it. I wasn't alive, but you've heard of it, where the U.S. invaded Vietnam and killed God knows how many people. Yeah, Gulf of Tonkin, which actually was what pushed us to put boots on the ground, the Gulf of Tonkin attack, that got Congress to vote for boots on the ground. That didn't happen either. That was a U.S. Navy ship that fired at clouds, storm clouds, for like 2 hours. And as Robert McNamara, former Secretary of Defense, said in a documentary, The Fog of War, 10 or 15 years ago, so he said it on camera, he said, yeah, it turns out that those were storm clouds. So he's admitted that we were attacked by storm clouds, and that was what we used as the reason to go into Vietnam, to get Congress to vote for going into Vietnam. This is back in the day when Congress used to vote on what countries we would invade and destroy. You remember those days? Congress used to have to approve of war, have to vote for war. So yeah, Gulf of Tonkin, another one. Syria. We now know that the chemical weapons attacks didn't happen or were done at most. So there were multiple chemical weapons attacks, one or two of them. 2 or 3 of them. And it seems likely that one of them did not involve chemical weapons at all, was just completely staged. Another one was likely the rebels, the moderate rebels, which is not a thing, that the U.S. was supporting, doing their own chemical attack and then blaming it on the other side. And this has come out through the OPCW, which Aaron Mate has done extensive work on, revealing that the OPCW ultimately helped cover up the reporting, saying that there was no chemical attack, and that what there was that happened was likely done by the rebels. So, yeah, it's that again. That's a perfect example of a false flag that the U.S. At the least intentionally bought into. I suppose you could say we've got plausible deniability. Oh, we didn't know that they faked the chemical attack, but not really, because we pressured the OPCW to cover up their actual reporting on the ground. And in order for us to point to that as a reason we needed to bomb Syria and continue to attack Syria, where millions have died from our aggression and our economic war on them, almost exclusively innocent civilians have died in that. I mean, not exclusively, obviously, but mostly innocent civilians in these cases die from these awful wars that we commit. Tremendous war crimes. So there's a short list of false flags we've been involved in. Operation Northwoods was a CIA and Pentagon plan to create false flags mainly in Florida and blame it on Cuba so that we could invade Cuba. This is during JFK. And it got all the way to the president's office. They basically, everyone had approved of this plan. We're going to bomb or murder innocent Floridians, and then we're going to blame it on Cuba so that we can invade Cuba. And it got all the way to JFK's desk, and he laughed them out of the office and said, what the fuck are you talking about? We're going to kill Americans to invade Cuba? But that shows that our Pentagon and our CIA, our military industrial complex, is more than willing to create false flags, to kill innocent people in order to precipitate the wars that they want. If anybody else has false flags that the U.S. government has been involved in that you'd like to throw in there, feel free. You have an argument for Libya. Like, we acted like Libya was all of a sudden this great threat to us and to others, when in fact it was not. And so we and NATO invaded Libya and killed God knows how many people. Gaddafi was executed on video in front of people. So throw Libya in there. We've certainly tried to create many false flags with Iran, saying they're doing this or they're doing that when they aren't. What else we got? So yeah, feel free to throw some in there in the comment section. But let's get back to this video here.
Declassified information other than you coming out here and saying,
Matt, I'm sorry you don't like the format, but we have
it's not the
declassified.
format, it's the content.
I'm sorry you don't like the content. I'm sorry
It's not that I
I'm
don't
sorry
like
you
it,
are
we're
doubting the information that is in the possession of the U.S. government.
Of course we're fucking doubting it. You guys lie all the goddamn time. Why would we not doubt it? We would be out of our fucking minds if we didn't doubt everything this asshole says. You would be a fucking moron if you just flat out believed it without evidence, without proof, without anything. And he goes, I'm sorry you don't like the content. Telling someone that you have that they have no evidence of what they're saying is not saying you don't like the content. It's saying you're full of shit. Like, show us the proof. Show us the goddamn evidence. But no, I'm sorry you don't enjoy my content.
What I'm telling you is that this is information that's available to us. We are making it available to you in order for a couple reasons. One is to attempt to deter the Russians from going ahead with this activity. Two, in the event we're not able to do that, in the event the Russians do go ahead with this, to make...
I love the idea of like, we have no proof this thing is actually happening, but... And now he tries to change the subject to, if the Russians go ahead with this. No, we just asked you to prove the Russians are doing any of this. You can't change the subject to if they go ahead with this. Oh, I forgot that you that's right. You told us the Russian troops had moved in a false flag positioning. Yeah, the good old false flag positioning. Always. You know what it is? They do a dance number. Whenever you see the Russian troops doing a choreographed dance number, that's always right before a false flag every goddamn time. If you see them like posed in like a human pyramid, and one of them's wearing like a banana hammock and he's got like sparkles on his fingers and stuff, that is always right before a false flag every time. It's every time. So we know it's coming.
Make it clear as day, to lay bare the fact that this has always been an attempt on the part of the Russian Federation to fabricate a pretext.
Yeah, but you don't have any evidence to back it up other than what you're saying. It's like you're saying, we think we have information the Russians may do this, but you won't tell us what the information is. And then when you're asked,
that is the idea behind deterrence, man. That is the idea behind deterrence. And when it is our hope that the Russians don't.
What? The idea behind deterrence is we tell you something with no evidence, forcing everyone on a war footing that could result in nuclear death to God knows how many people. We do that, and that's deterrence? No, it's only deterrence if you actually have evidence, none of which you seem to have. And the president of Ukraine has also said that Russia is not about to invade. So, what? I think you misread deterrence in the dictionary.
That's
Go
what the
forward with
information
this.
is. You say, I just gave it to you. But that's not what
you seem not to understand. You seem not to understand the idea of deterrence. We are trying to deter the Russians from moving forward with this type of activity. That is why we're making it public today. If the Russians don't go forward with this, that is not ipso facto an indication that they never had plans to do so.
So if you just followed that, he's made it impossible for the Russians to not have been up to something. So basically they said Russia's getting ready to do a false flag, getting ready to basically make it look like these Nazi battalions in Ukraine attacked them. So think about the possible options now that could happen. If the Nazis do attack them, then this guy can say, oh, his false flag didn't happen. If the Nazis don't attack them, then this guy can say, oh, Russia didn't do their false flag because we called them on it. So it basically gets rid of the option that maybe Russia was not planning this. It gets rid of the option that these guys, the State Department, have no evidence of this. That isn't on the table, right? It's only either the attack happens and we told you it's false flag, or the attack doesn't happen and, oh, they didn't do the false flag because we warned people it would happen. What they're really doing, what the U.S. government gets out of this, besides just promoting war, which, as I mentioned earlier, is good for them right now. It helps stop the oil pipeline. It will help. They can stop the oil pipeline. They get a lot of money. The U.S. can make a lot of money from continuing to export oil to Europe. So they're trying to stop this pipeline between Russia and Germany, and so fomenting war or war footing is good for them on all those levels. But beyond just that, this creates a kind of a story in people's minds so that if these Nazi battalions that the U.S. does support actually do attack Russia, the U.S. can claim it wasn't real. They're basically making it impossible for Russia, if they were to be attacked, to say they were attacked. So it serves multiple purposes for them to put forward this false flag garbage.
But then it's unprovable. I mean, my God, what is the evidence that you have that suggests that the Russians are even planning this?
Matt,
I mean, I'm not saying that they're not, but you just come out and say this and expect us just to believe it without you showing a shred of evidence that it's actually true. Other than when I ask, or when anyone else asks, what's the information? You said, well, I just gave it to you, which was just you making a statement.
Matt, you said yourself, you've been in this business for quite a long time. You know that when we make information, intelligence information public, we do so in a way that protects sensitive sources and methods. You also...
What that means right there, and this is almost over, by the way. What that means is we can't tell you anything. The protected sources and methods is the way they get out of ever having to prove anything they say. So they can say, oh, there's WMD in Iraq. Well, show us the people who said that, or show us the WMD, or show us someone who worked at the WMD facilities, or show us photos of, and they say, oh, no, we can't show you any of that because sources and methods. So basically, this sources and methods garbage that they always point to, well, we have to protect sources and methods, is a way for them never to have to give any evidence of what they're talking about. They can lie their faces off and they never have to show anything that backs up what they're saying because sources and methods, right? And they do this endlessly. The CIA can call the New York Times tomorrow and say, hey, we have evidence Russia is getting ready to invade Ukraine. And the New York Times will then print that. CIA has evidence Russia about to invade Ukraine. And people go, well, what evidence? And CIA goes, sources and methods. Sources and methods. It's great. I wish that all of us could use that in our regular lives. I wish that, honestly, you could just lie to your your family or your brother, or just lie to your friends or your husband or wife. And when they say, prove that, you just go, sources and methods. Honey, were you out having an affair last night because you turned off your phone and you disappeared for like 15 hours and didn't come home last night, and now you reek of perfume and you're covered in glitter? Were you out doing something last night? And the husband was just like, sources and methods. I was working late at my office. Okay, the construction management company I had to be there working all night, and it was Ron. Ron. It was Ron's birthday at the office, and there was a glitter bomb for Ron's birthday, and it was perfumed glitter, and it sprayed me all over. And so happy birthday, Ron. And the wife's like, I don't believe that. Can you prove that? Sources and methods. Can I call Ron? Can you give me Ron's number? Sources and methods.
So know that we declassify information only when we're confident in that information. If you doubt the credibility of the U.S. government, of the British government, of other governments, and want to find solace in information that the Russians are putting out, that is for you to do.
I'm not asking what the Russian government is putting out, and what is this supposed to mean?
Ah, there it is, right there at the end. If you don't want to believe the US government and you just want to believe the Russian government, then that's nice for you. Basically, you cannot ask us for evidence. You cannot ever claim that the US government or this former CIA guy who's now the press secretary at the State Department, you cannot say that we could possibly not have evidence of the things we say, because if you do, you must be listening to Russia. You must be parroting Russia. You may not, even for a second, ask us to prove the reality that we've created in your minds, that we've made up out of whole cloth. We just go, oh yeah, Russia's going to create a false flag any second. Border Ukraine. Yeah, that's happening. You can just do that. And the moment you say, okay, we will believe you, just show us some evidence. You believe in Russia. You're Russian. You listen to Russia. And it's like the U.S. government has given us every reason not to believe them on this shit. They've given us every reason. This is the same thing. I just talked about, for a web exclusive, I just talked about the truth about mandates and the mandate protests going on around the country. You can go watch it at portable.tv or at leecamp.com. You can watch my exclusive on the mandates. But one of my main points is the U.S. government and the U.S. media have lied to us endlessly. And we know that now. Like, I've done segment after segment showing all the lies of Russiagate. Segment after segment on Redacted Tonight showing the lies about the Syrian chemical weapons. Segment after segment on the lies about WMD. All of these things lying us into war again and again and again and again. Oh, Russia was paying bounties to the Taliban to kill American troops. Oh, let's retract that story because it turns out it was completely false. They do this again and again. It happens endlessly around the world. China, about Iran, about Russia, about North Korea. Oh, Kim Jong-un had his brother executed by alligators. They filled the alligators with bombs, and then they had the brother eaten by the bomb alligators, and then they blew up the bomb alligators while they were eating the brother. And then, like, 2 months later, you see the brother or the uncle or whoever the fuck walking around, and then New York Times goes, oh, turns out that uncle is alive in North Korea. And they leave the old article saying he was eaten by alligators up online. So you could still go and share that to people. Hey, look, he had his brother eaten by alligators. And you just don't share the article where they go, oh, never mind. He killed his girlfriend. Oh, nope, there she is. Anyway, my point is, our government, our media have done everything they can to make us not believe them. They lie to us endlessly. They've been proven to lie to us endlessly. Assange, wrong shoulder, Assange showed us the reality of their lies and through leaked documents. And now we don't believe them without proof. And they can't give it to us. All they can do is say, oh, you must support Russia. No, I'm just asking for evidence. No, you must support Russia. Asking for evidence is a very Russian thing. Very Russian thing to ask for evidence. Traditional Russian thing to ask for evidence. That is very true. Russians always ask for evidence. Don't ask for evidence. Don't ask for proof. Don't ask the government to verify anything they're saying, because that's just so Russian of you. So very Russian. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. Keep fighting.